Good evening and welcome back to IMG Academy Stadium here in Bradenton, Florida. A socially distanced Saturday scrimmage here from the field of the number one team in the nation for high school football, your IMG Academy Ascenders. My name is Ryan Sudol, and joining me in the booth tonight is your Florida State League Broadcaster of the Year, John Vitas. And John, one of the things that we talked about before we went on the air tonight is just kind of how happy we were working in sports to be able to see live action in person. Obviously, back in March with COVID-19 kind of turning everything upside down on its head. Nobody was sure if they were going to be here tonight for football or if there was going to be football at all. And obviously, with all 50 states have a different story. But the state of Florida, for the most part, with the exception of some counties down in the Miami area, are scheduled to play football. And IMG Academy with that number one ranking ready to get at it, starting with Venice next week.
Yeah, what a year it's been, Ryan, for everybody. And, of course, they've had to put so much effort in to make this happen, make this season happen. And we can't applaud the folks here on campus enough for what they've done to get these fine athletes on the field tonight. It's going to be an interesting year. It already has been. Hopefully everybody stays safe. They're doing everything they possibly can to make sure that happens. You can see on the sideline those chairs there. So they'll be spaced out when they're on the sidelines. But this will be fun to watch. I haven't called a game in 6 months. Late August is usually when we're doing our home stretch of the minor league baseball season, but instead you get a chance to do some high school football is a nice change of pace.
Thanks for joining us on IMG Academy TV tonight, Facebook Live, as well as YouTube. Right now on your screen, you see the blue jerseys. That will represent the offense for IMG Academy. Today we'll see a couple of position battles, and with that uncertainty of COVID, gave IMG its biggest gift in quarterback J.J. McCarthy, a transfer from Nazareth Academy in the suburban Chicago area. With the uncertainty of high school football in Illinois, it made sense for one of the top quarterback recruits to come to one of the top high schools in the nation to prep for his journey to Ann Arbor, Michigan to play for the Wolverines, following in the footsteps of the first quarterback I had a chance to see in the broadcast booth, Shea Patterson, many moons ago here in Bradenton, Florida. So we'll get a look at J.J. McCarthy and also the stud 8th grader Ryan Downs, who has had some impressive stories written up about him. Definitely the youngest member of the IMG Academy roster. And again, standing at 6'2", 6'3", and still continuing to grow at 14 years old. The future of IMG Academy football we'll have a look at tonight as well.
Yeah, we'll see where he ends up at height-wise, but very excited to see Mr. McCarthy tonight. It's our first look at all these guys for the season, so a lot of the shutdown obviously included individual workouts, voluntary workouts, and so for these young athletes, it was up to them to find a place to stay in shape and get ready for the season. So this is going to be the result of a lot of long months, obviously at home, not around their friends as much, and having to get themselves ready individually for this football season.
So just to fill you folks watching in on what's going to go on tonight, it's not going to be your traditional game. Last year we saw a couple of plays from situational parts of the field, from the 20-yard line, the 40-yard line, the 50, all the way going back into the red zones. This is going to be a little more fluid. We'll have a couple of skellies, as the new coach Bobby Acosta, coming down from the Twin Cities area, likes to call them, his skeleton drills with 7-on-7. And then you'll see some positional drills throughout the field. We'll have a split screen for you as well. There you see the white team as well, the white jerseys representing one of the top defenses in the nation as well. So the white with the blue numerals will be your IMG Academy defense for the night, and the blue jerseys with white numerals, the offense. And again, you see not just the national team and the varsity team, but also the first year, the inaugural year of the post-grad program, to chance to give some players. The basketball program here at IMG Academy launched it last season as well. Got to see some former NBA players' sons join, and Kenyon Martin Jr., but also a post-grad team that's going to play a more traditional junior college and a smaller D2, D3 schedule this year. The varsity team for IMG Academy, a Florida-centric schedule, and then the national team, the one that you'll see on the ESPN family of networks next week, taking on Venice High School a team that's had tremendous success, and our friend Josh Grant that's got both of us working with us in baseball, one of the announcers there, and looking forward to seeing that nationally televised matchup. Venice, I believe, in the last few years, not been so successful. They did have a lead on IMG a couple of years ago, but then, again, a lot of teams in the state of Florida, especially in this area, your 7A and 8A schools, can stick with IMG for a quarter or two. But, again, with the talent that these guys have, you have some 6'8", 380-pound kids that after 4 quarters of football, that just wears you down.
Yeah, you just looking at them coming out on the field here and stretching, watching them in person live, the size jumps out at you. These aren't your typical high school athletes. These are potential high-level college and pro athletes at one day. So you mentioned with the post-grad team being out here tonight as well, I think that adds an extra layer of intrigue because you can have a larger age range. It's a good opportunity for some of the younger high school athletes to go up against maybe a 19-year-old and see how they can hang with guys that are of college age. Obviously, the coaches are going to put them in positions to succeed and rotate players around. So tonight, obviously, it's a great opportunity for us and you folks at home to watch some football, but it's a great opportunity for the coaches to get their eyes on all of these young players, see where they're at here in late August, and see which team they're going to ultimately end up on.
And the Thundering Lightning backfield that we had last year for IMG Academy and Lavoisier Carroll, as well as Katron Allen, probably will not see them tonight. Katron Allen just kind of keeping those legs fresh for the nationally televised game next week, as well as Lavoisier Carroll. But the battle we'll be watching in the backfield, varsity star last year, Xavier Terrell, just a sophomore this year. Again, one of the smaller players on the field, but almost impossible to tackle. Had multiple 200-plus yard rushing games last year for the IMG Academy varsity team. And then Stacy Gage, a newcomer and a freshman, also going to be looking to break in and get that third slot on the national team in the backfield as a running back. Also some familiar faces. We'll introduce you to our captains for the national team as well. Tyler Booker, again, 5-star offensive tackle. J.J. McCarthy, your senior quarterback transfer. Ari Allen, again, a guy that you can just put anywhere. He is a 2-sport athlete with football and lacrosse, so he's a guy that likes to hit people and does not mind getting hit. Again, works in the slot, can work in the backfield, can play just about anywhere on the field. Greg Crippen, another one of those University of Michigan football commits on the offensive line, so he's going to see what it's like to protect J.J. McCarthy for the next of 5 years together, given any transfer situations. And then we've also got Malik Bryant transferring into IMG, Kamari Wilson, a sophomore. In talking to Clay Munch, the football program manager here at IMG Academy, talking about how he just kind of stepped up and took one of those leadership roles and being awarded the captain. And also Jordan Hall, class of 2023, one of the younger guys, but also just showing some great leadership for IMG Academy. Your captains for the varsity team, again playing that Florida-centric schedule, quarterback Joe Borchers, as well as Thomas Mercer, linebacker, and also a sophomore, 6 foot, 220 pounds, a 4.1 GPA. And a lot of people sometimes bring up criticisms thinking that IMG Academy is just a sports factory. But for the most part, John, these kids are students first, athletes second.
Yeah, they posted a 3.67 summer GPA here, so that speaks for itself. These are student athletes. They're not just athletes. They're going to have to be students at the next level too, and that all matters. It affects where you end up in your athletic career as well as your academic career and beyond. So, yeah, it's a well-rounded program.
And with the concerns for COVID-19, you'll notice even though there are a lot of bodies on the field right now, if you look to the sidelines, you can see the chairs that they have. Each child has their own individual chair, and they're also separated by pods. The water bottles are color-coded, so you can't just go grab whatever water bottle you want and switch. The IMG Academy has taken it very serious with both the distance learning they've done via Zoom calls and e-learning, as well as, again, being a sports boarding school and private institution, just the need to understanding the need with sports to have these kids together, and not just Coach Bobby Acosta, but a few of the members of his coaching staff. Also, something different that we hadn't seen in previous years, living in the dorms with the kids. And Coach Bobby Acosta again in his first season, talking about the brotherhood that he wants to bring to the IMG Academy Ascender program as we get ready for the first of our few drills. But again, you've seen some of those sports movies where when a new coach comes into town and he gets to live in the dorms, it's usually not the greatest accommodations, but IMG Academy right now playing host to so many things. They've hosted the United States national soccer teams on both the men's and women's sides, and currently playing host to the WNBA, playing right here on and off campus for Bradenton, Florida, and been a great beacon for IMG Academy, also to get seen on that national stage with one of their 9 sports, not just football, but also basketball, baseball, lacrosse, track and field, soccer, tennis, and golf. Obviously, tennis being what IMG Academy started, the Nick Molitari Tennis Academy, as we get ready for the first snaps of the IMG Academy Ascender football season.
You can see the excitement. We saw some headbutts and chest pumps already. So this is exciting for these young athletes. Some of them are new to the campus, new to Bradenton. Some of them have been here before and have experienced all the winning that this program is accustomed to. And like you said, a new coach. So it's a new culture, an opportunity for him to set the tone and be on campus with the athletes. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go tonight. Like you said, I think we're going to start with some special teams. You mentioned it earlier, Ryan. We'll have a split screen for you so you can watch basically two games at once, and then we'll switch over to more traditional football after that. So it's the first opportunity for these players to get out there in full uniform and hit in a game setting. So there's going to be a lot of energy early on. Even though it's another IMG player on the other side, I expect these players to be full throttle tonight.
We will step aside briefly and have the opening of the IMG Ascender football season. You're watching Ascender football on IMG Academy TV. And welcome back to IMG Academy Stadium. Ryan Sudol and John Vitas here for the opening kickoff of the preseason scrimmage is underway. That one booted off. I believe that is kicker Gavin Marshall, his first year with IMG Academy. And obviously the first hit, we'll hear some whistles. We do have an FHSAA officiating crew here with us tonight. Obviously they would like to get some reps before they have to start their FHSAA season as well. And one of the big stories that's not going to affect IMG Academy so much, John, but just the rivalry that IMG has had with some of the Miami-Dade schools and Miami Northwestern, Miami Central, Carroll City, and some of those other schools from down in that area. The fact that they might not be able to participate in the traditional FHSAA state championships this year, something that I know a lot of Miami schools aren't happy about, looking to play a later season, but not going to affect IMG Academy. Obviously, with the way they are sanctioned, they cannot compete for a state title anyway, but a lot of teams that do put IMG Academy on the schedule do go on to have some success in the States. Miami, Northwestern, and Central have both gone on to state championships. Venice has won a state championship in the last few years as well. Cocoa, 3A school, comes here and regularly gets beaten by 6 or 7 touchdowns and goes on to win state championships. So IMG is the gauge of which most schools in the state of Florida like to measure themselves against.
Yeah, if you can play with IMG even for a quarter or two, you know you can hang with anybody else. Fortunately, with those teams not being able to be on the schedule this year, there's plenty of talent in the state of Florida for these ascenders to battle with throughout the season. So they might have to tweak the schedule. You're going to see that in a lot of different sports and a lot of different seasons this year with the virus affecting different communities differently. But they'll adjust. They'll do what they have to do to get the schedule together and get these players the exposure that they need to get to the next level.
And one of the storylines we will be looking at also, Ilya Krajnovic, a DJ turned offensive lineman from Serbia, who is yet to play a competitive down of American-style football. This will be his first go. The last player we had like that, Daniel Fa'alele from a few years ago, now playing at the University of Minnesota at 6'8", 400 pounds, and every bit as chiseled, a rugby player, and was too big to play rugby, so came to IMG Academy and found great success and has found some better success under Coach P.J. Fleck, along with former IMG quarterback Zach Annexted. It's been a great run for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and I mean, we could spend the next hour and a half, John, just talking about the success that IMG Academy athletes have had at the D1 level. We had our highest NFL draft pick this last season with Cesar Ruiz, offensive lineman from the University of Michigan, following in the footsteps of the first ever draft pick from IMG Academy, running back Bo Scarborough, who went on to the University of Alabama, as well as the Dallas Cowboys, getting drafted in the 6th round. And guys like Grant Delpit that got drafted in the 2nd round was projected as a top 5 pick early on in the draft last year, and then some injury concerns had him slipping. But also guys like KJ Hamler at Penn State, and just all the skill players that come through IMG on any given Saturday. At any time, you can have 80 to 100 Division I athletes. So these kids understand that pressure and what it means to wear the blue and white here at IMG Academy.
And that should be motivation in itself, to give it your absolute all. And there's so much competition around you, it's only going to make you better when the next guy is just as talented as you are. There's no doubt that tonight we are watching at least a handful of future NFL players. Without a doubt, who that handful will be will determine on how they apply themselves over the next 5 years or so of their football careers and where they end up. And there's a lot of other factors too. But there's no doubt this is top flight competition as you can see them continue to work on some of these special teams plays. I think the coach is more concerned with alignment here, making sure the duties are followed and everybody's in the right spot. We are seeing some balls being kicked into the air now after I think the first couple of kickoffs they didn't even hit. They were just trying to make sure everybody's in the right lane and on the right assignment. And the kicking position, one that we don't see used a whole lot here at IMG Academy, just for the sole factor that the offense is so high-powered. As far as some of the kickers that have come through, Ricky Aguayo going to Florida State, following in the footsteps of his older brother. Some thought he was better than his older brother that had some struggles with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But then you also have Aiden Swanson, who was your kicker for the last 2 years for the national team, going on to play at Clemson University. So there's just, again, it's a position that as a kicker coming to IMG, you don't necessarily feel the pressure that a running back or a quarterback may feel, but it's still an important position, especially in some of those closer games. IMG facing their first loss last year in Baltimore on the campus of Morgan State as they took on St. Francis after absolutely blowing the doors off them the year before, going up to Baltimore and losing by more than a few touchdowns in hostile territory. Again, was a big wake-up call for this team, and some of those players that are seniors this year definitely remember the taste of that loss from last season. As you watch these drills, special teams, the importance of special teams cannot be overstated. It is so important. If you have a punter who can give you an extra 20 yards on every punt, and in high school you see so many shanks too that are 10, 20, 30-yard punts, and we're seeing 50-yard boots right here. So it's so important. for coverage, it's all about being disciplined and being being on the right assignment and knowing who you have, because if you give up a kick return for a touchdown or a punt return for a touchdown, it not only is 7 points on the board, but it's a massive momentum shift. So these drills right here are ultra important, and it's probably not a surprise they're doing it right away at the beginning while these guys are still fresh, because they have all the energy cooped up right now into these drills, and the coaches are making it a focal point of what they're doing.
And you see the punting unit out for the Ascenders. And again, something that they don't do a whole lot of as far as punting. It's very tough to get this offense off of the field, especially when you get to some of the lower divisions in the state of Florida, but some of the national games they've got, and you'll see it. All you have to do is take a look on Twitter. And again, with some of the health concerns with COVID-19 this year, make sure you do stay tuned in to all the IMG Academy social network feeds, both Twitter and Facebook, as the schedule is probably going to be very fluid, as we're still in a very, very delicate time. John, you had mentioned how this is the first live sport you've basically seen in person in over 6 months since we got shut out of spring training baseball back on March 12th, a day that this country will not soon forget. It'll probably make an interesting ESPN 30 for 30, but living through it has not been easy.
Yeah, March 12th could be its own 30 for 30. We were together 6 months ago when sports came crashing down, but obviously this country's done what they could to try and limit the virus. It's not going to go away anytime soon, so that's why we have these measures that have been taken to keep all of these young athletes safe. It's a requirement. It's not an option. You have to make sure that there's distance between these players when they're not on the field competing. And if you want this season to go on, like you said, it's going to be fluid. But if you want to get through the whole schedule, you have to keep the virus out. And they're doing everything they can to do that. And we got to hope and pray that it stays that way, not only with this team, but all the high school teams across the country, because we want them to play sports. It's such an important part of a teenager's life. You know, you can't just go to class on Zoom. You have to have a well-rounded opportunity socially and athletically. Obviously, athletics is a huge part of all of these players' lives right now, and to shut them out of that opportunity would be a real shame. So I'm glad they're making the effort here to get them on the field, get them the exposure they need to play at the next level, and we just have to hope that everybody follows protocols and they can keep everybody safe. It's going to be interesting.
And again, we mentioned not just football here on the campus of IMG Academy, just one of the elite training facilities, not just as a top academic institution for future, not just Division I athletes, but professional athletes. You look at the LPGA and the Cordes sisters were students here, Serena Williams on the national tennis circuit, and just so many athletes have had an opportunity to come through IMG and have talked about just kind of how it changed their life, not just to prep them for the next level, but even the next level after that. A lot of these players, many of them not local, as far as, we have some of the top high school football programs in not just the state of Florida, but in the nation, in Palmetto and Manatee and some of the other schools that have historically strong teams. IMG doesn't have that ingraining in the community of, these kids aren't getting a chance to play in front of their parents every week, which is what puts the emphasis on the stream, and we're happy to bring it to you here on IMG Academy TV every week and every opportunity that we get a chance to. But it's a very different world for some of these kids that have played Pee Wee football in the same area, and then they get picked up out of their homes and, again, move basically on campus. It's essentially a college experience for most of these kids that a lot of people don't get, even when they do decide to go to the next level when they're done with their high school football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's such a unique experience that they all have to be here right now and to get this type of training. I mean, look at all the coaches on the field. It's more coaches than you'd normally see with a high school team, and the talent around you obviously speaks for itself. So we are starting to see them run some more traditional plays right now and more of a 7-on-7 setup.
And we will take a quick break and then get back to some of the 7-on-7 drills. You are watching Ascender Football on IMG Academy TV. And welcome back, IMG Academy Stadium. Looking on the left side of your screen. Again, most eyes on the transfer from the state of Illinois, J.J. McCarthy. There he is wearing number 9 and throwing that rope. I believe that is Jakori Brooks.
That was a heck of a grab, Ryan. The ball was behind him, and he was able to reach around and snag it out of the air.
And Jakori Brooks currently committed to the University of Alabama. So you look at some rosters from the state of Florida and other high schools, they're happy when they have 1 or 2 players go Division I. IMG Academy has been averaging about 25 to 30 Division I starters every year. And there you see J.J. McCarthy throwing an interception. And again, with the fluidity there, we have no real offense, or defense, and the pressure limited in the 7-on-7 drill, but a good chance to get some of the arms warmed up, and we'll obviously see the arms of Joe Borchers and some of the other quarterbacks, a little bit of Ryan Downs as well, who we'll talk about a little later. As IMG again coming into the season with a number 1 ranking on your back. That's a pretty big target, John.
Yes, everybody knows when you play IMG, it's the cream of the crop, and they get up for that game. So with that target on your back, you have to be on your game. You can't have an off night because the other team is going to be ready to take advantage.
And just looking at the ESPN 300 right now, IMG Academy with 8 players of the top 300 in the nation. Some players we won't see tonight, Xavier Terrell. Currently, if you look at the list of schools that he has offers from, John, it's pretty impressive. It's 9 SEC schools, Alabama and Auburn included. Also Arkansas, Clemson, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Kentucky, Maryland, Miami, Michigan, Ole Miss, Penn State, South Carolina, Tennessee, and UCF. So even though we won't see him tonight, no doubt you will see him at Venice High School, just about 45 minutes south of here. Again, that game will be on ESPN this coming weekend. As McCarthy now looking, and there you see that frozen rope just bouncing off the hands. Believe that was Stacy Gage, one of the offensive playmakers, looking to break through. That might have actually been O.J. Burrows. Again, they've got both the white and blue rosters. So, again, preseason for everybody right now, John. So, again, we will try to identify these players for you as well as we can. But, again, you definitely want to stay tuned throughout the season.
Oof.
And there you see just the beautiful touch pass from McCarthy.
I mean, Ryan, that's an NFL caliber throw. That's 40 yards down the field on a dime, through 2 defenders. That's just a beautiful ball from McCarthy.
And in having an opportunity to talk to wide receivers coach Desmond Tardy, former Purdue standout in the Big Ten, also 2003 Indiana Football Man of the Year, following in the steps of players such as Rex Grossman. So Mr. Indiana, the wide receiver coach, going into, I believe, his 3rd year here at IMG, just said that he said anything you can imagine about J.J. McCarthy that you want him to be as a prospective quarterback, he's that and more. And every coach has had nothing but amazing things to say about J.J. McCarthy. And again, probably without COVID-19, probably not making the trip here to IMG Academy, but with the uncertainty in the state of Illinois and having some ties to the state of Illinois myself, John, some of the unhappiness surrounding their handling of COVID-19 and how schools are opening and at what pace. It was a blessing for J.J. McCarthy, and in reading some of the stories about how he ended up at IMG and in taking that next step in getting ready for the University of Michigan and Coach Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, you don't want to spend your whole senior year working out in a T-shirt and shorts. You want to get out and you want to play, and you want to play with the best competition. So it makes sense for McCarthy to come down here and get the opportunity to do exactly that. And we're spoiled. We're lucky that we're getting this opportunity to watch him tonight and throughout the season because, like you said, if it wasn't for the virus, I mean, a lot of things would be different right now. I'd be announcing baseball, but we would not be watching J.J. McCarthy under normal circumstances.
And for those of you that are watching on Facebook Live, we are monitoring the stream. So if you have any questions about specific players or just kind of the format of what we're doing here at the socially distanced scrimmage here on a Saturday night, just trying to get as much alliteration in as I can this evening. Feel free to go ahead and ask in the comments. We will be checking periodically. And again, it's very fluid. We're just here to kind of let you know and get your first look at some of these players. Again, just following in some very, very good footsteps back even before my first year here. DeAndre Francois, who went on to be a star at Florida State, followed by Shea Patterson, Kellen Mond at Texas A&M, and then Art Zitkowski, as well as Zach Annexstad at Minnesota and Rutgers. Just so many. Bryson Lucero now at UAB. So a long line of quarterbacks starting, but from all accounts, J.J. McCarthy looking to be probably the best prospect in the history of IMG football. And that is some high praise with some of the athletes that have come out of this institution.
I was going to say, you caught my attention with that comment. He hasn't even played an official game yet, but there's no doubt the talent's there just from the few throws we've seen tonight. It's special. You're seeing a lot of different quarterbacks rotate through right now. We're doing our best with names. We've been given a couple really large rosters. I've seen some numbers out on the field that aren't on the rosters. Ryan's the expert. He will do his best to get the most accurate names out there, but we're not going to guess. So bear with us. Enjoy the football, and as many names as we can get onto the broadcast, we will.
And as we take a look, you see the split screen there. So we've got two separate 7-on-7 drills going with your IMG quarterbacks. That's right there on the right side of your screen. I believe that is Gaston Harris, according to our roster. Could be many other people. Again, preseason for everybody, including the officials, getting ready for their FHSAA schedule as well. Again, it's just great to have football back, just a couple of weeks away from the NFL season, as well as the college football season, where you'll get a select few amount of previous IMG ascenders with an opportunity to show, as obviously we had the announcement from the Big Ten that they will be postponing their fall schedule due to concerns of COVID. The SEC and the ACC, though, down here being in the South, John, you know that football rules all. And if there's any shred that some of those teams in the South, in your Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, and Florida, if there is any chance for them to play football, darn it, they're going to play football.
Yeah, I commend them for making the effort. They've done everything they can on campus to keep their players safe. And a lot of the coaches have a lot of confidence in the protocols because they had positive cases in July when they first got to campus. And since then, they've been able to completely slow it down. So let's hope that continues, and let's hope that we all have some college football to watch in a couple of weeks.
And also stay tuned again to all the IMG Academy social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the schedule. Again, there are a few confirmed games and some tentative as well for the national team, the varsity team, and the inaugural season of the postgraduate team. Again, some of the older players that will get that much-needed time that maybe did not want to travel or just wanted to be a part of the training facilities that are here at IMG Academy. You can see in the background we have a Gatorade Research Center. We have the brand-new field house that's just a couple of years old on the left. Also the soccer complex just to our right of your screen. And again, the football stadium only still about 6 years old since they've built it here, and it's been a great facility. We've seen some fantastic games here, and we've also seen some blowouts and some controversy and some on-field scuffles. But today everybody is ascenders, and looking forward to that one goal, which for all these kids is perfect seasons getting ready to start their college careers.
Oh, you see McCarthy almost threw an interception there on the left side of your screen. He's number 9. He's been firing away. He knows who the Alabama commit is, Jakori Brooks. He keeps throwing to him, I think, almost every single time. That ball was underthrown, but you can just see how comfortable McCarthy is in the pocket. Obviously, there's nobody rushing him right now, so he should be comfortable. But it's fluid. He's going through his reads. He's making sure to look at 2 or 3 receivers on every play, whether they're open or not. It's early. It's all about going through progressions and making sure you're comfortable in the pocket, and he certainly is.
And again, thank you for tuning in on IMG Academy TV, both on YouTube tonight as well as Facebook Live. Again, feel free to drop your questions. Ryan Sudol and John Vitas, we're here to try and get them answered for you. And a couple of questions, we'll go over some of the number concerns that you guys may have, or a couple asking is Xavier Terrell, again, one of the stars from last year's varsity team. A couple of 300-plus yard games as well, I believe, set a single-season rushing record here at IMG last season, fighting for that third spot, wearing number 5. You will see a couple of dual numbers on the field, just because the amount of kids between all three programs is just,
it exceeds 100.
There's only 0 through 99 that you can get through, and with some of the restrictions on where each number can and can't play, we will have a few doubled up. We will step aside and take a quick break and have more Ascender football for you. You are watching IMG Academy football on IMG Academy TV. And welcome back to IMG Academy Stadium. Ryan Sudol and John Vitas with you for the preseason scrimmage for the IMG Academy Ascenders, as the first play is a running play. I believe that is Xavier Terrell. And you see there just popping off for about 20 yards. Again, very hard to tackle in the open field, and we saw with a much smaller offensive line last year, running for over 1,500 yards on the season. And now he's got some much bigger boys in front of him, and including that would be number 8 on the ESPN 300 in J.C. Latham, also currently committed to the University of Alabama at 6'6", 310. And if you're a defensive lineman, that is something that you're not used to seeing as a 17 or 18-year-old kid.
No, not at all. That was an explosive first run, and then Mccarthy misfiring on the second play. It looks like they're moving up 5 yards with every play, and it's all 1st and 10s. So they're going to roll with kind of a traditional playbook right now. They're not going to do any 4th and 1s or 3rd and long. It's just 1st and 10 every play.
And there you see off his back foot. That is J.J. McCarthy. Looks like that one going to, I believe, John Copley, number 15.
And I think McCarthy's a little overexcited right now, this first opportunity to play for IMG. He really yanked that throw to Brooks, and we saw him do the same thing to Brooks in the last couple 7-on-7 throws. You can tell he's fired up. Once he gets comfortable, he'll start to get that touch back.
Again, also got some of that pressure. If you look on Twitter, he does a good impression of Aaron Rodgers. As there you see the bailout little shovel pass to Xavier Terrell running down the near sideline, which would have been good for a first down. And they're just off balance and able to just push the ball and find the young, speedy running back and turning a whole lot of something from a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, and you can see how quickly McCarthy was able to scramble out of the pocket. Just a quick jab step and a couple of strides, and he was loose in the flat and was able to shovel it forward. Early impressions, he probably is excellent at improvising. We'll see how he is when he stands in the pocket, looks down the barrel with a 3 or 5 step drop. But just based on the athleticism we're seeing already, he probably enjoys improvising.
And it is still McCarthy from shotgun. Again, the other two starting running backs, Lavassier Carroll and Katron Allen, we will probably not see tonight, just trying to remain totally healthy for next week's nationally televised game. As there we see Stacey Gage, again, fighting with number 5, Xavier Terrell, for that third running back spot. That, again, big shoes to fill when you have guys like Noah Cain and Trey Sanders. Noah Cain now at Penn State University, Trey Sanders at the University of Alabama. They were a thunder and lightning duo just a couple of years ago, and there we see an interception. And believe that might have been Dalen Everett. So McCarthy going to take all the throws while he can, but going back to the running backs, Katron Allen and Lavassier Carroll, one of the first times that we've actually seen a 1-2 running back punch back for a second year completely together. A couple other running backs, Chandler Magruder, and again, Ari Allen also getting some spots from the halfback position. But again, we'll see what Stacey Gage and Xavier Terrell, showing the future of the IMG backfield. As we'll switch up quarterbacks here. And the hand is to Stacey Gage, running left side off tackle. And they'll blow that dead. Again, trying to minimize any possible dangerous hits as far as tackling goes, because, again, the last thing you want to do is knock out one of your own players going into a huge game against a pretty successful program that has a history of putting out some NFL talent in Venice High School. Talking about running backs like Dree Archer and tight end / quarterbacks Trey Burton, just in recent memory as well.
Well, you can see them at full speed in the pursuit, and then right before contact, they do let up a little bit, which of course makes sense. You don't want to hurt your teammate.
And believe number 17, that is the absolute future of IMG football in Ryan Downs. Again, you wouldn't know it by looking at his size, but that kid is 14 years old.
With the helmet on, you would think he's 24.
And ready for football at the next level already, and he is in the right spot for it. Here, IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, just about 30 minutes south of the Tampa Bay. We'll call it the extended Tampa Bay area. Again, not just a great academic institution and preparatory academy, but also an elite training facility. Cam Newton is known to run a 7-on-7 tournament for some elite football athletes from all over the country. Here, typically in the summer months, we kind of had to forego it with the concerns of COVID-19, but we've also had MLS preseason here as well as USL. We've also had international soccer teams train here from the English Premier League, from the Brazilian Serie A, from Italian Serie A. They hosted the International Champions Cup this past year, which had teams such as Real Madrid and Juventus and their youth academy teams. So you never know who you're going to run into on campus here. Every once in a while, you might even see a Roger Federer, but currently right now you've got your Candace Parkers and your Brianna Stewarts and Brittany Griners in the WNBA, and just taking advantage of the training facilities that aren't just here for the students, but some of the world's most elite athletes.
Yeah, it's a versatile campus. It's huge. There's plenty of land. There's a lot of beautiful fields. They're so well maintained. Indoor facilities, training facilities, like you said, top state-of-the-art facilities. And it's just a great place for any sort of sports training that slips through the cracks. Professional athletes will be thrilled to come and use this facility if it becomes available. I think last year the Major League Baseball free agents were training here as well. So all different sports will come in and use the facility when the opportunity presents itself.
And there we see Joe Borchers, your varsity team captain, looking for the deep ball downfield. That one, I believe, going over the head of Gavin Marshall, I believe. And again, we have a couple of different numbers. So again, if we misidentify a family member of yours, we apologize. Feel free to correct us in the comments on the Facebook live stream. As that throw out wide. Again, between the three teams here, we're all just trying to get everybody. I believe that was James Olson for the offense. Actually, number 89. Sorry about that. Christian Ingman.
I was going to say, if Olson was playing tight end, that's a pretty good name to have. You know, Greg Olson went to my high school, Ryan. Up in North Jersey, they've had a really successful run over at Wayne Hills. You mentioned how IMG has a laundry list of D1 commits every year. My high school won several state championships, and I think only had 3 or 4 players play Division I over a 12-year span. So it's not common for high schools to have multiple D1 athletes in the same class, and obviously here it's commonplace, and it's not just 2 or 3. It's a lot more than that.
And you mentioned Greg Olson, University of Miami standout, as well as Pro Bowler for the Chicago Bears, and again, that Wayne Hills area, and also that some of the other schools there also have had a history of scheduling IMG Academy. Your Bergen Catholic, Paramus Catholic, St. Joseph's Regional.
Don
Bosco, not played IMG Academy yet, but also one of those schools in that northern New Jersey, Bergen County, as well as Monmouth County, and just kind of the powerhouse that is New Jersey. When people talk about strong high school football states, they often talk about your Texas, California, Florida, Ohio. New Jersey, one of those schools that typically kind of goes forgotten, but very, very strong.
Yes, very underrated area for high school football.
As, again, full 11 on 11. You see the FHSAA crew there, and John and I have the benefit of being in a little bit of an air-conditioned booth, but these players getting used to that sticky Florida air and running for a full game as their Borchers. A little miscommunication on the handoff.
Of course, it helps a lot that the sun is gone. It's a night game, obviously, but it is sticky. It was well over 90 degrees today. Of course, the real feel's usually over 100. So that's something for some of these athletes to try and figure out, especially those from out of state like McCarthy coming down from Illinois. And not a lot of these players are from Florida. So it's definitely an adjustment they have to make. And the pace here has been very fast. Once one play's over, the coaches are spotting the ball for the next play. Players are coming on and off the field. They've got music playing. It's a nice, relaxed setting, but it is pretty fast-paced, and it's going to test these kids' fitness for sure.
And their throw just going over the head of your IMG wide receiver.
It does make it fun to watch, though, Ryan. A lot less time between plays. The coaches are shouting the next play as soon as the one before it ends. So there's no huddles here. It's just rapid fire, one play after another. They're cycling in players every few plays. So yeah, it's fun to watch. It's a lot of action in a short amount of time.
I believe this is Luke Carney now with the handoff. Play blown dead. Again, trying to minimize any potential injury going into the opening week of the season. Again, thank you for spending your Saturday evening with us. And again, one of the things that we didn't realize would happen, John, with COVID-19 is with the big layoff we had from baseball in March, now we've also got not just basketball but hockey, which are typically wrapped up by this point before high school football starts. And we're going to have more sports than we know what to do with here within the next couple of weeks.
Right, and it's great to have these high school sports going again in Florida. It's not just football. All of the fall sports are being played. So you kind of have that balance. You don't really have the middle yet. You don't really have college sports yet, but there are some coming. But you have the pro sports, like you said, too many sports to know what to do with. And now you've got the high school sports starting up too, so you get both ends of the spectrum. And slowly but surely, things are starting to get a little bit closer to normal. Who knows what the normal will be, months from now, but we're finally making some progress in the sports world, and it's just awesome to watch this tonight because we have not had the luxury of calling many games this year. So it's nice. It's just nice to be here, to be honest.
And we will step aside briefly. We'll keep the stream going in the background for the IMG preseason scrimmage. You are watching Ascender Football on IMG Academy TV. And welcome back. J.J. McCarthy, your national team starter, back in. There again, throwing off of his back foot. And able to find, believe that is Sean Miller, trotting into the end zone.
It almost seems like McCarthy's more comfortable when he's not balanced, falling away 1 foot or in motion. It seems like his throws have been more accurate when he's in a defensive position.
And we've seen that from other quarterbacks at higher levels, something that Aaron Rodgers is notorious for, as well as former quarterbacks retired, such as Jay Cutler throwing off balance, Brett Favre, a lot of those Midwest quarterbacks that would often run for their lives and have to find a way to improvise. J.J. McCarthy, though, so far just as good as advertised there on the play action with a dart across the middle and just a little too strong.
His throwing motion reminds me a little of Cam Newton, too. It's a very loose, whippy, almost baseball delivery when you watch it, and it comes out with all kinds of zip. So that's a comparison that my mind instantly went to.
Again, we'll see how it plays against the green and black jerseys of the Venice High School Indians. Again, that game nationally televised next week, and then falling back, Xavier Terrell able to break that first little arm tackle and get forward. But another nice little rapport being built between Xavier Terrell, the underclassman, with J.J. McCarthy, the incoming captain.
Yeah, Terrell is lightning quick. And he's obviously a little undersized, and he's going to have to prove to college coaches that he's going to be able to hold up at that level. But he's got the speed. He's got the agility. He's going to do some major damage for the Ascenders this year.
As we take a look at the offense there, we also have, again, just so many names. We're not going to be able to get to, obviously, all of them, but one of the names we mentioned earlier, number 76, Ilya Krajnovic, the Serbian, again, not just from all over the country, but all over the world, kids coming to IMG Academy. But when the COVID pandemic first occurred, had the opportunity to go back to Serbia, but decided to stay on campus and self-quarantine and stay here all by himself. So living in a foreign country and just getting ready. Again, no real previous experience at 6'8", 325 pounds.
Oh, wow.
As there you see a beautiful pass into the corner of the end zone. Good for the touchdown.
Yeah, that tells you all you need to know about McCarthy. That was just incredible awareness to be able to scramble to his weak side after everything was moving right, and he was able to change direction with his eyes instantaneously and not only hit the receiver on the run, but lead him away from the defender and towards the pylon where he could easily fall forward for a touchdown.
And there you see the play stop right up the middle. That's Stacy Gage. Again, looking for that third running back spot, and something this coaching staff, I'm sure, is not too concerned with. I don't think anybody's ever complained about having too many good running backs on the roster. There you see, new head coach Bobby Acosta changing things up. And if you look at one of the white jerseys, a name that some people may recognize, number 70, Charlie Goodell. If the last name sounds familiar, it is your NFL commissioner's nephew deciding to come here to IMG Academy.
We've got some rain falling, Ryan, which is not unusual for this time of year.
And the rain is okay as long as we don't get to the lightning. You will hear Thorgard, which is our inclement weather alert machine. It's a noise that anytime is heard here at the campus of IMG Academy. It is unmistakable, and it usually means that we're going to have to step aside and possibly cut the night short. But as of right now, looking like the severe weather is going to hold off for just a little bit. And again, just kind of a walkthrough. These guys are trying to get into those game reps under the lights on a Saturday night, and we will step aside as we prep for the next group coming out. You are watching Ascender Football on IMG Academy TV. And there you see the pass from Borchers complete. I believe that was to Landon Clark. Saw on the previous drive also Pat Wade, number 87, getting that touchdown from J.J. McCarthy on that nice little out route to the near side corner of the end zone. It looks like some family watching back at home. Again, appreciate you spending your Saturday evening, and Borchers looking like he wanted to go downfield, and would have been a tuck rule situation in the back in the old NFL days, but at IMG it'll just go down as an incomplete pass.
We also had our first flag of the night too. I believe it was either holding or a face mask on that the rusher who was bearing down there. But Borchers, he thought better of his throw there. He looked at one read and then switched to another, was ready to air it out, and thought better of it. But that's that Florida humidity, maybe that rain too playing a factor. It slipped right out of his hands.
Now the high snap. Gives up the middle, running off tackle. That is number 45. I believe that is Juanzabal Alonso. And he'll get a few positive yards for that IMG Academy offense.
And Ryan, if you're a quarterback, any sort of dry fabric is a luxury in this time of year. I mean, you're dripping sweat. You've got condensation on the water bottles. And then, of course, you have to make the decision whether to use gloves or not, which you normally don't put one on your throwing hand. So balls slipping out of quarterbacks' hands is something that will happen.
And they are breaking through number 18 on the offensive side of the ball. I believe that is Jax Porter getting some open space. And there you see, again, Under Armour, great sponsors here at IMG Academy, as well as Gatorade. You will see their branding all over campus. And also with the Armor Bowl, as IMG has played a few games with the founder of Under Armour's schools out in the D.C. area,
including my alma mater. No Terps football this year, though.
Unfortunately, yes, with Baltimore. Again, IMG making that trip up to Morgan State University and being ranked at number 3 in the country at the time they took on St. Francis. They will definitely be looking to exact their revenge at some point in the near future. Not sure if they'll necessarily get to do it this year. St. Francis, though, a great rivalry, not just in football, but also been a great partner with basketball back and forth as well. You're defending national champions for basketball, according to the Geico National Invitational. And because of COVID, it getting canceled this year, so they get to hold that title for one more year.
It rolls over.
And there you see the coaches also on field with the players. Again, very just a fluid chance just to get out and get some plays and let you, some of the fans at home, see what's going on here in Bradenton. For those of you that may not have an opportunity to travel to Florida or just because of health concerns, don't necessarily want to. But we assure you everything is being sanitized. All the assistants on the sidelines are also making sure that players are staying in what's known as a pod, which is, particular positions. All the wide receivers have their own pod. The running backs have their pod. Quarterbacks their own pod. And, again, very sectionalized as far as not cross-contamination between where these guys go. And even though they are hitting each other every play, again, as doing whatever they can to ensure that COVID-19 does not spread, as well as, routine testing here on campus as well. It's just been a different world that has taken some adjusting and getting used to in the sports world, not just between the players, but also the coaches, administrators, and as well as fans. Some places with a limited amount of fans, as you see there in the IMG Academy grandstand. You see probably some other students that just want to see from other programs here. Again, 9, maybe even 10 programs now here on campus. Just something to do on a Saturday night and see some live sporting action. It's just great to be back on campus, John, and glad to have you in the booth. And, just glad to be able to share this with you, the fans watching on Facebook Live and YouTube here on IMG Academy TV. It's been a surreal past 6 or 7 months for all parties involved, and glad you could share in this moment with us.
Yeah, it's great to be here, and Ryan did such a good job outlining everything they're doing here, and it's important. It has to be done. It's going to be weird for the players to not be able to be around all of their teammates all of the time, separate locker rooms with just your position group, but it has to be done. And at the high school level, all the sports, it's very common now to see a coach with a stopwatch in one hand and a thermometer in the other. And they're doing temperature checks every single day. They're asked to wear masks on the bus when they travel, masks coming in and out of class and in and out of the practice facility. So it's a different world we live in 2020, and hopefully one day we're back to normal. But in the meantime, if you want to play, this is what you have to do.
And we will step aside and get ready for the next set of plays. You see head coach Bobby Acosta for the national team just kind of directing, and we will direct ourselves to the side real quick and be back with more Ascender football. You are watching IMG Academy football on IMG Academy TV. Welcome back, and going back to some of the skeleton drills here at IMG Academy Stadium. And again, the big story leading into this season, as you see J.J. McCarthy drop a dart right there on that little fade route and unable to hold on to it.
What an attempt, though, by Brooks, who had a defender draped all over him. That's probably pass interference on a normal night. Almost made a one-handed catch, reaching over and around the defender. McCarthy put it on the money, but the defender was in the perfect spot. And what an effort by Brooks, almost able to make a one-handed grab through the defender.
Those of you maybe just tuning in right now, see some of the questions in the Facebook Live chat room. Will special teams be playing in this format? They actually started out the night, so if you're tuning in just to watch special teams. We may have some a little later, but that was the kickoff teams, as well as the punt and punt return teams as well, was the first aspect of tonight's scrimmage. And now you see the split screens again, just trying to get as many players, as many reps as possible. As on that left side, you see one of the top quarterback prospects, J.J. McCarthy, throw that over the head. I believe that might have been Weston Adams going into the end zone. And again, preseason for everyone, not just broadcasters and coaches, but also players. Again, if you're going to get some overthrows, better to get them out against yourselves than against, again, a team, Venice High School, next week that will definitely make you pay for mistakes like that. And then trying to go back and just a little bit, again, looking for Jakori Brooks. And in talking with some of the other coaches, not just the skill of J.J. McCarthy, but they've also said that Jakori Brooks easily one of the best wide receivers they've ever seen on campus as well.
Yeah, you can see it. With those two, it's just different, and there's a good reason why McCarthy keeps throwing to him. I mean, they both want to. They're going to be at Alabama and Michigan respectively next year, and then probably 3 years after that at a different level. So you might as well work together and try and get to that level together when you're on a campus at the same time. So it makes a lot of sense for those two to link up and build a really strong connection as the season wears on. And you can see it's the first time that McCarthy is wearing an IMG uniform. He's a little overexcited. He's overthrowing some of these balls by 10 yards. You saw it earlier, though, Ryan, he started out with a couple overthrows, and then once he got in a rhythm and he was running 10 plays in a row, he started to dial in the accuracy and add some touch to his throws, and he had 3 or 4 excellent completions in a row. Expect that here as he continues.
Again, also, when you have this skeleton format and 7-on-7s, as there you see him drop a beautiful pass on a nice little 10-yard out. Again, when the quarterback's going at 100% and maybe the wide receivers are taking a 60 or 75% route run, it's very tough in a 7-on-7 to replicate the pressure of, again, a 250-pound defensive lineman bearing down on you to make you try and emulate that pressure can be tough. As there we see a nice throw from Downs, and it is knocked up in the air and almost intercepted, but that slips in and out of the hands. Again, I believe that was Weston Adams. And again, Ryan Downs, all you have to do is Google his name as far as some hype for one of the younger players. The last time you saw somebody as far as a kind of pomp and circumstance, you go back to Project QB and Tom Marinovich, and just kind of what is a prototypical quarterback and what does he look like? And as far as his future at IMG Academy, looking very, very bright.
Yeah, it's fluid. You said he's in what grade?
I believe he might still be listed as an 8th grader.
That's just mind-blowing.
Now stepping in at the quarterback position, I believe that might be Dan Hooper. And again, the rosters we have, again, so many jerseys and so many numbers, and again, so many kids, again, with an opportunity to play here at currently ranked, according to Max Preps, the #1 high school football program in the nation. And want to thank you for tuning in this Saturday evening to get a little taste of what we're going to see next weekend in the coming weeks here from the IMG Academy Ascenders. And nice pass to the near side from that national team. And you'll see some of the varsity team on the right side of your screen. We'll take a little look at them. And again, the national team has taken on some great opponents such as Mater Dei out in California. Still waiting for some of the other nationally recognized teams like Bishop Gorman and St. Thomas Aquinas down in the Miami-Dade area to put IMG Academy on their schedule. Don't anticipate it happening anytime soon. But again, that varsity team that you see on the right side of the field as well, playing a very Florida-centric schedule, a lot of 2A, 3A, and 4A schools. Again, which has still also had a lot of D1 and D2 talent go on to the next level, and also a place for some of the four-year starters. There haven't been a whole lot so far. Obviously, the football program at IMG Academy still relatively young compared to some other high schools in the area, looking only less than 10 years old for the IMG Academy football program, starting with Chris Winkie as the head coach. And not many head coaches at the high school football level get to go on to the NFL, John, but Chris Winkie left IMG Academy to go take a quarterback coach job with, at the time, the St. Louis Rams before they moved back to Los Angeles. So, again, this is also not just for the players preparing for the next level, but we've also seen a lot of coaches come through IMG Academy and go on to bigger and better things. Most notably of recent, Donnie Abraham was a defensive back coach and defensive coordinator here, went on to the University of Illinois. And Cadillac Williams, whose shoes are actually in the NFL Hall of Fame for his rookie rushing record with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was a running back coach here and then went on to be an offensive coordinator at Auburn University, his alma mater, of course. So, again, this isn't just about growth for these kids. A lot of these coaches that want to break into coaching and not necessarily sure how to do it come to IMG Academy and get the best kids to help launch them to the next level as well.
Launch is the word I was about to use. Some might call this a stepping stone. This is a launching point for your career, whether you're an athlete or a coach. One thing that it's important for these players to remember, and I'm sure they're aware, is that tonight all the coaches are here. When the season gets going, they'll split up into a few different teams, and they'll have their handful of coaches. But right now, it's the coaches for all three squads that are out here with their eyeballs on these players, making evaluations, determining who's going to start next week, who's going to get the playing time, who's hustling, who's going to be on special teams. So these are important decisions that are being made as we speak. A moment ago on the field on our right, we saw a long completion, 40-plus yards from the quarterback. I believe it was Grant Shepley, perhaps. It was a heck of a hookup on the right side of your screen a moment ago.
Also, some of the questions coming through on Facebook Live. Is Ari Allen playing? Yes, he is. He should be wearing the number 4 jersey. I believe they might have the blue and white mixed up. And again, some of the offensive and defensive playmakers that we're expecting a lot from this year for IMG Academy. Not going to be getting a whole lot of snaps tonight. Again, not necessarily just for the purpose of staying healthy, but also just want to stay fresh. And if anyone has a knock, again, because once you go from not doing any physical contact, any kind of hit that you're going to take is going to affect you. And so they're just trying their best to make sure that everybody on every IMG program is 100% for next week, whichever team you're on.
And if you're watching right now, very interesting, the coaches are urging the players to separate a little bit and give themselves some space. They were all, instincts. Practice is over, coach is calling you over, let's huddle up. And all the coaches quickly were waving their arms and telling everybody to spread out. So Coach Acosta is about to test his screaming ability a little bit here. He's going to go talk through the mask to 100-some-odd players from a distance, so he might need a microphone at some point.
And we'll step aside. We'll keep the stream here for you. We'll see if we can't hear some of what Coach Acosta is trying to yell at the 100-plus players on the field. You are watching Ascender Football on IMG Academy TV. And welcome back to IMG Academy Stadium. That is going to do it for us here in Bradenton, Florida. The first preseason scrimmage, the only preseason scrimmage we'll have streamed on IMG Academy TV. Again, stay tuned. All platforms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow along at IMG Academy. Again, we will have the game against Venice for the national team this Friday. Currently, I believe, scheduled for the nationally televised game on ESPN. That will definitely be your game of the week. And what a way to break in for the new coaching staff and head coach Bobby Acosta. It'll be an interesting look on national TV to see your IMG Ascenders, but also stay tuned. We'll have the varsity team at Tampa Catholic next week as well. So, again, just stay tuned on how you can tune into those games here. And alongside John Vitas, I'm Ryan Sudol. And John, again, this was your first experience with IMG football. What just some thoughts from seeing this early practice?
Very impressive, very organized. Obviously, these are top-notch athletes. The reputation speaks for itself here, but you can see that there's a lot of thought that goes into these types of nights. They just did an entire scrimmage with over 100 players in an hour, so they were prepared, they were ready, and just this little post-game talk, you can hear the positivity, you can hear the shouts, the claps. They're excited. This is the fun part of the season. You're undefeated. They probably will stay undefeated, most likely, but everybody's 0-0. You know, the world is their oyster right now at this stage of the year. A lot of these guys were cooped up at home for so many months, wondering whether they would get the chance to play. Well, they are. They're here. It's happening. And they're a week away from week 1. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. You have to stay vigilant and diligent with the protocols to make sure that this season gets to the conclusion that we're all hoping for. But tonight's a fun night. A lot of good football on the field. It was an action-packed night, rapid-fire plays. And then we get to watch the real plays a week from now.
And that's what Coach Acosta was talking about in that little huddle. John, you had just mentioned it, that everybody's 0-0 right now. He said, but there's only one goal right now. He goes, you can't go undefeated unless you start 1-0, and everyone has a chance to do that starting this coming weekend. Thank you for spending your Saturday evening with us here on Facebook Live and YouTube. You have been watching IMG Academy football on IMG Academy TV, and for everybody here at IMG Academy and my broadcast partner, John Vitas, my name is Ryan Sudol saying so long, and we will see you next week.